blastmusic247.com. We're changing the industry, one artist at a time.
Hey folks, this is Michael Bate from the Michael Bate Band, coming to you from Blast Music 247's Blaster Rock and Metal Podcast, episode number 2. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you are witnessing the genesis of, I think, the newest podcast in the Blast Music 247 family. I am so excited to have my next guest, someone who I consider a friend. Probably met him, I think, maybe a year ago. Maybe we'll talk about that. Talented musician, kind of guy who just lives, eats, breathes, and sleeps rock and roll. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Ashfault Jungle.
Yeah, buddy.
Look at that. And just look at that wall. What did I just say? What did I just say? Look at that wall.
That's nothing. There are more outside that door.
I said, eat, sleep, live, rock and roll. That's exactly what I said, and that proves it right there, man. Good to see you, dude.
This is what happens when you don't have kids and not married.
Well, those are your kids.
Exactly.
And your partner in life.
Exactly.
Right on, man. So, hey, thank you for doing this. Kind of the way this works is I do my best to kind of hop in that Wayback Machine and maybe go into the past a little bit, and then maybe we'll grab that wheel and maybe make a stop right back here in the present. And then, brother, if we got enough gas, we're going to hit to the future, see where we land, all right?
All right.
Yeah, maybe about an hour or so. We'll see. First of all, for those who don't know you, and if you don't know him, now you will. Tell us where you're from, man. How long have you been making this thing we all call music?
Oh, okay. Well, boy, where I'm from. Right now, I reside outside of Chicago, Illinois. But I consider myself a Texas boy. I left Texas 3 years ago. Family's still down there. Raised in Canada. So, I've been all over. So,
no kidding. Yeah. Where in Chicago? I used to live outside of Chicago. Where?
I'm in DeKalb.
Okay. I was in Lombard off the Ike. Is that too far? I don't know where
That's pretty far from me. I'm about, I'm going to say about 40, 50 miles west off of I-88. I'm in DeKalb, where Northern Illinois University is.
Oh, right on, man. Right on, yeah.
So smaller community, I like it, and the cool thing is representing here. Kurt from Crit 13 lives north of me, 35 minutes. In Rockford,
right on.
Which is where Cheap Trick's from.
Cheap Trick?
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, one of my favorites. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah,
right on, man.
Yep.
There's some history there.
Yeah. I didn't know that until I moved here.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, right on, man. Oh, good to hear. Well, hey, like I said, I want to make sure people knew, where you're from, and obviously they can tell your passion for music. I don't know if you feel like maybe, do you want to talk about one of those guitars? I mean, do you have a guitar back there? This is not something that I had on my script, but I'm telling you, looking at what you see and what we see back there, is there anything you want to tell us about your kids back there?
Well, I'm an Ibanez guy through and through. I mean, have been for a long time. And you see there's 2 of them up there. I've got 17 of them total. But the rest of the guitars, and I have fallen in love with that Les Paul here lately, that nice burgundy one. I've always used Les Pauls in the studio to get the meat of the rhythm tracks. I've always used Les Pauls. So I've always had Les Pauls in my arsenal, but when I used to play live, it's Ibanez's all the time. And most of my Ibanez are custom ordered. So I got small hands, so the gem neck is what I tell them to put on every model because the gem deck is a little thinner.
Oh, right on. All right. Well, we're going to make sure the folks at Ibanez get this clip. Troy, our producer, I'm going to make sure that we can send this to Ibanez. That's fantastic. Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah, I want to make sure you had at least a moment to explain some of your children back there. So, hey, like I said before, we're going to try to jump in that way back machine. Let's see where we land. So, question I have for you. Do you remember, can you have a memory of the first time you not only heard music but listened to it? And what I mean by that is you kind of got some of the story, or it told you something that was important to you. Do you have a memory of when you first actually listened to music?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah. I come from a musical family, so my dad plays too, and my mom she has always been into the hard rock stuff, even when I was like real little. Now we're gonna go back to the early '70s. My dad used to be he's a Corvette guy now, but he used to be a Mopar guy. And so, he had RTs, he had Roadrunners, Super Bs, you name it. Well, in the Super B, in the 8-track player, now we're showing our age, Deep Purple, man, Machine Head was playing. And I used to do the boom, boom, boom part to Smoke on the Water at 3 or 4 years old, sitting on mom's lap. So they knew right then and there, okay, this kid's going to like music. And then not even about a year or two later, this is a fond memory of mine. My mom tells the story. I kind of remember this, but I don't. 4 or 5 years old, you kind of don't remember those things. But my mom told me this story, and I love it. We were down in Nashville, and of course, you had the new Grand Ole Opry. They had already closed down the old one, and they were doing tours. Well, we're in this tour group, and they bring you up on stage to look out and stuff, and they start walking away, and everybody turns around, and I'm standing by myself at the end of the stage, and all they could hear is go, yeah, this is what I want to do. Yeah, so a little kid saying that,
You announced that into the universe. You said this, and especially on a stage. I mean, they talk about like on a stage, right? I mean, maybe metaphorically, you literally were on a stage putting that on the universe. Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, okay, so that young, But so music's been a part of my life since day one. I have a passion for it, even not playing it, listening to it, diving into what makes the song tick, what makes the musicians behind it tick. My ex used to say that I could write a book called Useless Trivia of Musicians. And it's just passion. It's passion. I mean, everybody, who does know me or knows Ashfault, I'm a hard rocker, but I'm not afraid to tell you that in my CD collection, I have every Steve Winwood album. I have every Duran Duran album. I like, if it's music that's good and it captures me and it grabs my ear, I latch on to it. I really do. Yeah. Early recordings that I can remember kind of dissecting in my head around 6, 7, 8 years old would be a lot of the Beatles stuff, because my dad was a huge Beatles and Paul Revere and the Raiders and Safaris and things like that. So there was a lot of Beatles being played around my house too, and I grasped that right away. The what they were doing, musically. Yeah. And I could tell, I was a late bloomer to guitar and getting into playing music. I had a chance at 10 to start doing it. My dad owned a guitar store with his best friend, and they had a guy named Sal that came in and taught lessons. And Sal was from the old school, you had to have that acoustic little box beater guitar that the strings were this high off the frets so that you could build up your calluses. So my dad gets me signed up with him, and I'm ticked off because this guy wants me to play La Cucaracha and Blue Dandy Waltz. But I want to play, Frampton stuff and things like that, So I got discouraged, and I put it down, and my dad's like, all right, that was your one chance. So about 4 or 5 years later, I really got back into it again. I was still listening to a lot of music, buying my own cassette tapes and stuff like that with my allowance, but decided I was going to have another go at it because I was hearing things, things that I knew weren't normal. I was picking things out of songs. I was thinking, wow, that'd be great. Here I am at 13, 14 going, ooh, I'd like to redo that song, do it this way. Yeah. And I'm thinking, and I look back on that now and I go, wow, okay, that's kind of cool. Yeah. But yeah, so I announced I wanted to get a guitar, and my dad's like, well, you got to do it on your own. You told me to do it on your own this time, and I did. So the funny thing is we're looking at 1983, 1984. I saved up my money all summer long, and then I bought a BC Rich, a $600 BC Rich. This is 1983, 84. That's expensive, man.
Yeah.
For my first guitar, and my dad went ape. You know what? Why didn't you just buy, such and such, like he's throwing out names like Kramer or something like that had the cheaper guitars back then. And I was like, well, it was good looking. it felt good in my hands too. So, but yeah, that from that on, the trajectory just went sky high. I learned everything by ear. I did get out the chord books and stuff that he had around, and would learn the chord progressions, but can't read music to this day. Still do everything by ear. So,
yeah, right on, man. I think you mentioned that story about the guitar teacher wanting you to play. I think you said La Cucaracha, and I understand what you're getting at. One of my favorite guitar players of all time, to this day, Mark Tremonti from a band called Alter Bridge, told stories of when he started. He just wanted to play, man. But, you had to go through whatever curriculum that particular teacher had. So I think you guys have similar stories. It turned out pretty well for him.
Yeah, Mark is a great guitar player. What he's done in Alter Bridge and all that is just unbelievable. He really shined in that band. He shined in Creed, don't get me wrong. But when he went to the next level, it shows you what he was as not just a guitar player, but a composer. His licks, his riffs and everything else were more composed. And I love that. That's why I'm a Steve Vai fan instead of an Eddie. I'm an Eddie Van Halen fan too, but I like Steve Vai more because he's a composer when he does his stuff on guitar. So I lean towards that. I try to, if I'm going to play a lead or something, I try to do it in a melodies type thing. Anybody can sit there and shred all day long, and there's nothing wrong with that. There is, and I can shred, but I don't care about showing that. I'd rather stick to the song and get a melody going. And I learned that from Stevie Ray Vaughan and Steve Vai. That's the two I learned that from. Instead of just balls out, fast out, stick to what the melody is and have the guitar talk. Kind of like what the vocals are doing. So that's where I am with that. But the other biggest influence would be Adrian Smith from Iron Maiden. The guy doesn't get enough props. I'm sorry. He is such a technical virtuoso. It's not funny. Where his counterpart Dave Murray just plays off the cuff. But Adrian, he'll sit there and dissect it, and I love that about him.
I did read that he was one of your influences whenever I did some of my research. I actually saw him live many years ago, and it was a phenomenal to see Bruce Dickinson sing live was a highlight for me.
Yeah. Backstage for the Somewhere in Time tour, got to meet them all and stuff like that, and Adrian actually taught me how to play the intro to Wasted Years right there. Greatest memory ever right there. And I mean, from that day on, he's my guy. He is my guy. If you listen to my sound, the sound and stuff, you can kind of compare it and go, okay, if you really dissect like Power Slave, Caught Somewhere in Time and all that, and you listen to my guitar sound and then listen to his, you go, okay, I get this now. Yeah, he's an Adrian Smith fan. I really copied his sound big time.
Hey, people say, and I even say that, the true purpose of art is to inspire others to create. So if that's what he did for you, then that's exactly what it was supposed to do.
Yeah. I mean, there ain't nothing that guy does that I don't like. So, then of course, going through high school, now we're starting to, get some years under my belt playing and stuff. And then by the age of 17, that's when I started playing with bands and stuff. Okay. The funny thing is in the beginning, I was always the youngest member of the band. Living in Canada, the drinking age at the time was 18. And of course, when I graduated high school, that year they moved it up to 19. But so I was able to play in bands at 18 years old and get into these bars, playing in bars, whereas kids in the United States can't do that. So I was lucky in that aspect. But most of the guys that were in these bands that I first started at, they were in their mid-20s. And here I am, a little 18-year-old kid, coming along and playing. And I was basically the rhythm, some leads in the beginning, because I was still learning. I was still learning a lot, But the turning point was, and this is a funny story, I worked at Burger King like most kids did back then. And working the closing shift, had this really cool manager, a little short, redheaded girl. And, she would put the boom box up on the counter while we were closed. And somebody that night got to bring their own cassette in or whatever. And that's what we had to listen to. It was their night. It was their music. You listened to it. Well, back in the 80s, all the music was good. It didn't matter. Pop, the emerging rap back then was really cool, I thought. So it didn't matter. You loved all that stuff. And one night she said, okay, guys, she's like, I get the boombox tonight. And she put in Couldn't Stand the Weather album by Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Oh,
and
okay.
Couldn't Stand the Weather comes on, like, okay, this is kind of cool. But then when that wah wah kicked in for Voodoo Child Slight Return, I went, whoa, wait a minute. So she's the reason I got turned on to Stevie Ray Vaughan. And she's like, you need to listen to this. She, I know you love all that metal stuff, but you need to listen to this. This is where all that stuff's grounded at. And at first I was like, whatever. But like I said, when she put that album in,
oh my,
I hooked right from there. Right. And I stopped trying to be a shredder and all that stuff. I said, okay, I get it. I get what he's doing.
Yeah, more. I mean, you could still show your chops and have a melody. And what's good about that, this is a great segue, because we right now are going to see how those influences turned into your music. We are going to play one of your songs right now. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ashfault Jungle, Tears Are Falling. freaking yes. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Ashfault Jungle. Tears Are Falling. Now listen to me. I know who you just told me you're influenced by, Stevie Ray, Iron Maiden, I get it. But from a listening perspective, I have to tell you who I think you sound like. May I do that?
Yeah.
What I hear in that song, and whenever I heard it before, this is not the first time I've heard that song. It is and I'm a child of the 80s too, man. I graduated high school in 1988, so I was in that realm as well, dude. 88? Okay. So I was there, man. I was there. That is Stephen Pearcy and the musical stylings of Rat, and I also absolutely hear, I think it's Ian, is it Asbury from The Cult? That is what I hear in that song.
I am a huge Billy Duffy fan too, so he doesn't get any recognition for the guitar player that he is. So that's badass, man, that you said that, because I am a huge Rat fan too. I mean, anything
absolutely. The licks, your vocals, especially as the song builds, you get that raspy kind of Stephen Pearcy, the raspiest, coolest 80s voice ever. And man, that ain't too far off. That was a Rat song to me.
Thank you. All right, cool. I never even thought of that. Yeah. Oh wow. I don't know what to say.
Yeah. You could print that.
Well, in doing this EP, this Destination Unknown EP, I mean, it was centered around one song, and it's a song that Sarah Douglas did for me. I figured I'm going to build around that song, and I wanted to. Last year, I was all over the place with a lot of my music. I was here, I was there, I was influenced by this, and that's all good. But then when it came time to do this EP and start building all the songs around, like I said, the song Southern Grace, I said, you know what, Shane? You are a hair band guy. You've always been a hair band guy. Why not continue doing what you love? And that's where that song came from. That was the last song to get written. Started writing in February, and it once the chord progression was there, it just flowed. It just flowed. I was happy about it. Really happy about it. Yeah, and that's the reason for the title of the EP too, Destination Unknown, is which direction am I going to take? And I said, you know what? Like I said a second ago, I'm going back to my old roots. I want to write about parties, girls, the fun stuff that I remember growing up on. And Rat and all of them did that. There's nothing wrong with that, And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with what people are writing about now. I have no problem with that. I love a lot of what people are doing and the messages that they're getting out there. But I just want to make fun music. I'm a little tired of the dark, dreary stuff. And I was actually going down that road, and I was like, let's pull it back. So again, though, I am not criticizing anybody. This is what I want to do, because
we need some of that, brother. We need that.
We do. And you know what? There are some independents out there doing that kind of music. I didn't realize, excuse me, how many that there were, and that show that I'm doing for Deb LaMotta's website now has turned me on to that, because that's what the show is about. It's about, all those old songs and stuff, all that old music, but I'm trying to merge it to today's independent musicians. So I pick five independents every week, and then I build around that with the older songs, the mainstream songs. But I'm finding all these bands out there. I'm like, well, they're doing the same thing that I'm wanting to do. This is great. Why is nobody listening to this? So they are out there. It's just that radio won't play them, because radio is going to go after what the rubber stamp is, And honestly, I think we're in for another change, just like we did in the '90s with the whole grunge thing. I think it's coming. We're coming. You can feel it. You can feel it, and I feel it's going to go back to that kind of music. That's just my feeling. And the reason I feel that way is look at all the festivals that are happening. The big festivals. What are they? They're the old time bands, and they're selling out.
Yeah.
And this new generation of kids, they're starting to, get into our music, and they're like, oh, we get why you guys are so passionate about this now. And same thing with the grunge thing, they're again, this generation is checking out the grunge stuff and going, oh, we get why you're passionate about it. So That stuff was great. Yeah, it killed my favorite music, but I'm sorry.
Yes, it did.
I mean, Alice in Chains. Oh my God, what a band! I love them, and that kind of segues into my other favorite band, is Saigon Kid. And going back to the Beatles thing, I love vocal layers. I love that. I love the harmonies and vocal layers. I do try to do them. I'm not the greatest singer in the world. I do try to do it. But that's what I do try to do is Saigon Kid basically is, they were doing that kind of vocal layering before Alice in Chains was. But with them releasing Love Is on the Way, it killed their career. It really did, because that's not what they're about. They got labeled as a hair band, and they're not. They were on the cusp of that kind of music that was starting to gain traction. And I don't want to say the grunge movement, because Alice in Chains is not grunge. They're metal. They are a metal band, but it was a shift in a different direction. But going back to what I was saying, I feel there's a nice shift coming. I really do. I feel it. I feel it coming.
Yeah, we're going to ride that musical wave. Now, you mentioned two things I want to touch on. So, you did mention I'm going to say our friend Deb LaMotta. Now, if I remember correctly, is that where we met? Were we booked on that same podcast one night?
Basically, yeah. I mean, I already knew of you. We had commented back and forth here and there on Facebook. Yeah. And then you did the interview with Box and Sticks, and all that. And that's when I was like, okay, this guy's my guy. Because you were talking about the '80s and all that, and all that stuff. But yeah, it was Deb LaMotta that we really forged that friendship.
Yeah, we were booked on that same podcast. I knew that. Yeah, big shout out to Deb. Thank you so much for bringing us together. That's awesome. Another thing you mentioned here. Let's talk about your new EP. I know we're supposed to spend a little more time in the past, but that's okay, man. We grabbed the wheel, and now we're coming right back here to the present. Your new EP. Now, in a world of singles. Everyone does singles, right? And there's different philosophies on releasing and release times and all this stuff. Why an EP in a world of singles?
Yeah, good question, because that's all I've done. It's singles up to now. And it was just a body of work. Like I said, the song Southern Grace, it's a 30-year-old song.
Oh.
It's one of those magical moments when, and I've told this story on Deb's show, that I'm driving home from South Carolina, where my parents lived at the time, back to Jacksonville, Florida. And I'm listening to Brittany Fox, another great 80s band.
I remember.
Right. And there's a song, and I can't remember the name of the song for the life of me, but it's the second vocalist, Tommy Paris. And it's about being on the road. And I'm going down 95 back to Florida, and it's late at night, and I'm driving, and this song is on, and all of a sudden, boom, 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 this idea gets in my head about being on the road. I literally pulled over to a rest stop, and I had a bag there where I had just gotten a cheeseburger, and I started writing it. And going back to what I said earlier, I can't read music, but I was writing out chord progressions. And I'm talking about dead on, D sustained 2, G sustained 4. I'm doing that, and I'm writing these lyrics out, and wrote the whole song out like that in like 10 minutes. I don't usually do that. I get a riff, and then I build around it. I come back to it. But this song wrote itself, and it was, because of that Brittany Fox song. And I sang it and sang it, and I've done it over and over and over again. And it's kind of got a country rock feel to it, Eagles style, because of the vocals and stuff that I originally had planned for. I always felt that my voice wasn't right for it. So I was going to search for somebody, and I cultivated a relationship with this girl, Sarah Douglas, over in England. Their band is called Sarah and the Others, and I finally presented it to her. I said, "Here's me singing it, but you do it your way." And she's like, "You're doing a great job." I'm like, "No, I don't like it." And you know that as singers, sometimes we don't
hear yourself. No one likes to listen to themselves,
right? But I just felt it needed something else, so I said, "Here, you got carte blanche. Take it, go with it, run with it. Here's the lyrics." And she did, and she layered in all these things. But like I said, so there's this song, and I'm like, I got these other songs that really go well with it. And of course, Tears Are Falling wasn't written yet, but Price You Pay was another 25-year-old song. For Now, I wrote in December. She Moves, I wrote last September. But they worked together, and I thought, if I release these as singles, they might get lost in the interpretation. So I decided to do an EP. And funny thing is, I'm not doing a single off of the EP. I'm doing just the EP. That's it. It's out there. If you want to listen to it, you listen to it. If you don't, you want to dissect it and listen to it by single, go ahead. But I'm not focusing on one song off this EP. And like I said, it's basically a work to try to get people to really hear Sarah doing that song is what it's about.
No, that makes total sense. I mean, back in the day, a lot of albums were, I'm not saying this is a concept album, but they were concept albums. If this is a body of work that you feel needs to go together, there's no rules. Put it on a damn EP, which is exactly what you just did. And another segue into playing another one of your songs. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ashfault Jungle, Who's to Blame? Ladies and gentlemen, Ashfault Jungle, Who's to Blame? Brother man, tell me about that song and tell me about that video. I dug that video. Who made that?
So kind of like you know how coming out of the coronavirus era, we were all, cooped up and stuff. Well, I had just moved up here to Chicago, taking a job where I'd gotten a promotion, and so I moved up here, and I was out of music for a little while. I mean, I was still listening to it, still noodling around, put things down on tape, but wasn't doing anything serious. And this is like a 10-year hiatus. And then I got up here, and the bug just bit me again. And so I started, the way I normally write, like in this song, it shows it. I will map out the whole song musically, no lyrics. I'll have the timing and everything, and then I go back and I write the lyrics, or I fit the lyrics on something that I already have down. So originally that song was going to be about a serial killer, and hence the one line in it about the inhibitions, things like that line stayed in there. But then I started thinking, I was like, you know what? I'm going to write a political song for once. And I did, so because it's about a couple things. And, it is about, who's to blame for the coronavirus getting unleashed on the world. It is partially about that. That's why I stuck to that with the video. But there's also, near the end of the video, you see stuff about the homeless guys. Those are all veterans. I'm a veteran too. I served in the Navy. And I think it's appalling that we have veterans on the streets. There needs to be more out there to get these guys back into society. I know what they, I didn't go through near as much what most of these guys went through because they were in combat. I wasn't. I was in some combat situations, but I was on the front lines. So these guys come back and they're totally a shell of what they used to be, and we just throw them to the wayside. And so double meaning on its own. Who's to blame? Who's to blame for this? And how can we fix it? And the funny thing is the video pieces, I just searched that online and I pulled from it. It's all, believe it or not, it's all copyright-free stuff. And I just put it all together. I was like, boom, boom, boom. And like you said in your interview with Box 6, we were coming out of the Corona thing, and I was just jumping at to do something, and that's what I did. And that's the first Ashfault Jungle song. So, and that one's near and dear to my heart. Mind you, there's lessons in that song on not how to produce it, not how to sing it, and I have been toying with the idea of going back and redoing it, because you can hear some of those high, screaming vocals. You can hear it's starting to fade off. It's starting to lose. So I was doing all those vocals live. No, you don't do that in the studio. You do one take and you come back and do another take. So I was still learning. So you can hear some cracking and everything else. And that one part in the middle where I go really high, that one hurt. That one really hurt. Because I had to do it like, here's what I do. Here's something I do. A lot of people fine-tune the vocals and stuff, and I have started doing that here lately. But to the most part, if it's a take and it's off, erase, go back, and I do it again. And I think that's the Mutt Lange experience for me, because I'm a huge Def Leppard fan too. Yep. But Mutt Lange always, made you do it 100 times, and then
100
he
times,
would dissect it, put it back together. So that's what I did with that one. But once I got that final take that's on that recording, I could barely talk for 2 days. I shredded everything, because I did like 30 takes of that thing, and it was funny. It was the last one that went, So, but yeah.
You never know. Oh my God, that's an amazing. Well, obviously, from hearing that story and listening to the song, again, not my first time, you are a storyteller and you like to write original music. However, you have a side of you that I will say that I don't have. You are not afraid of writing, or I should say, performing cover songs. Now, I've always told myself I would never do a cover song. I'm terrified to do a cover song. You, my friend, are not. You've done quite a few. So what do you think is your favorite cover song, and how did you get, I guess, the chutzpah to do a cover song that I don't have.
My favorite one, and it didn't turn out that well, is the Donnie Iris, Aaliyah.
I'm from Pittsburgh.
Right.
Pittsburgh, brother.
So I can remember in the 80s, that song was in Canada too on the airwaves. Huge song. So that one is one of my favorites musically. Vocally, it's not. I am pitchy on that song. It is, believe it or not, it doesn't sound like a hard song to sing. It is. It really, there's so many changes in the tonality of it, and I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
So, but when I approach a cover song, yes, it's a cover, but I try to do it as if, how would Ashfault Jungle have done it if I wrote this song? So there have been a couple comments here and there. Well, you didn't play that right. You didn't play this all right. Well, I'm not going to. I'm going to play it like I would have.
Yes.
You know. So that's how I do the cover songs. My favorite one, and I wish the audio would have turned out better, was the version that my buddy and me did. He's he's done three songs with me now. It's Mike Abel. He's from England also. But we did Metal Gods by Judas Priest, and I had a blast doing that song. And I was scared because, I mean, it's Rob Halford, and
leather lungs.
Yeah, and the funny thing is I knew Metal Gods, knew the song, and I thought, this is a deep cut. Only your diehard Judas Priest fans are going to know this song. But I got to do it right. But also listen to his vocals. I was like, you know what? I think I can tackle this. I can't do Screaming for Vengeance. I can't do, Painkiller and all that. I'm like, no, that's not me. So I approached it. That's the one song where we approached it that we were going to try to stick to the original as best as we could. And I'm very happy with that one. The America one by Neil Diamond, happy with that one, but still could have been better. But I'm really happy with that one because that is not a cover. That is a remake. Because the chord progression, it sounds like the chord progression of the original song. It's not. I wrote it to fit my voice. So that's a total remake.
Okay.
So if you really were to sit down with that song and dissect it musically, you would learn that the chord progression is not the original chord progression. Some chords are left out of it, and I added some. That one I really love. I really do. That was a labor of love right there.
Yeah, that's kind of the part that you're touching on, kind of the part that makes me nervous because I don't think I'm smart enough to know where the line is between staying true to the original and making it my own. I'm not sure I could pull that off. I'd be very nervous about that. Kind of like how you said, there is a line there, and I don't know exactly where it would be.
Right, and I've got tons of other stuff that I played around with, and I'm just like, no, it's not going to work. I do try to keep somewhat to the original sound. That way it's still recognizable. But my whole thing is, and again, this is me. If I want to do covers, I would do covers, okay? And they would be dead on to the original. When I do it, it's my interpretation of how I would have played that in a band. Like going back to Metal Gods, Mike was like, I don't know what I'm going to do for the solo. And I was like, Mike, I don't want you playing the original solo. I want you to play your solo. Write your own solo for this. And then that's when we came up with at the end where we go back and forth against each other, because that's not even in the song. Glenn Tipton and KK don't do that in the song, but we did that, and I've always been about that, even when I was playing covers in bands that I was in, I never played the solo that was in that song, unless it has to be that way, like a song like Every Rose Has a Thorn or Sweet Child of Mine. You can't go away from that solo. You've got to get as close to that solo as you can. But like the songs that I pick, I always try to pick the ones where I can, breathe a little bit on it and do my own thing. And, I got nothing wrong with people sitting there learning the solo note for note, because that's how you learn. That's how you expand.
Yeah.
But if you're going to do a cover song, I'd rather you do your own solo or add your own flavor to it. And that's just me.
Yeah.
That's
fair enough.
That's how I approach it.
Yeah. No, I could tell. Absolutely. I could tell that's your philosophy. Fair enough. So let's talk a little bit in a more grand scale, right? I'm curious with a man, of your expertise. You've been doing this obviously for a very long time. Originals, covers, you've just been around the block, right?
Yeah.
If you could change one thing, just one little thing in this indie music scene or the music industry, from your view, what would that be?
I think there needs to be a better outlet for the independent musicians. I think the radio broadcasting companies like CBS Radio, Cox, just to name a few, they need to start wake up. They need to wake up and look at the talent that's out there. And I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about other people. You included. You included. There's too much good stuff out there. I mean, Bobby Kane. You know him. Of course.
Yes.
Why is he not on a radio station? I mean, he's playing stuff that would be an AOR guy would love to have. So these radio stations, these non-independents, I think they need to wake up to what's happening out here. The little comment that what's his name made from Spotify about content. Yeah.
Content, yeah.
But, and I might take a couple people off here, what I'm going to allude to here in a second, but where was I going with this? Okay, yeah. There's so much great stuff out there, and yes, all the tools are at our disposal now. Whereas back in the day, we didn't have this. You had to go into a recording studio, or you had to spend tens of thousands of dollars to build your own. So yeah, it is a little easier to do it nowadays, even with all the AI and stuff. But on top of that, I am strongly a little upset with a lot of artists pulling their stuff from Spotify, because to me, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Yeah, they pay us little pittance, but you shouldn't be, building on that. You should be, going, okay, I'm going to put this song out here, and I expect to get these royalties. From Spotify. You should not even Tidal. Okay, that is a tool. You should be using it as a tool to get your music out to people that normally you would never have a chance to get your music out to. Okay, and when you pull your stuff off of the biggest streaming platform out there, Spotify, you just robbed yourself the chance that one super fan that might come across you and starts banging the drum on the top of the mountain, and other people start going, hey, okay, yeah, all right, cool, I like this. Or that one person that's got connections goes, hey, this might be the next big thing. You just robbed yourself of that. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but you just robbed yourself of that chance of that happening. Yeah, Spotify sucks. They all suck. All the streaming services suck. But at the same time, it's been this way since day one with the record industry. Okay? You're not entitled to the big money yet. Nobody is. You got to prove yourself.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I tell you what, my gut says this next song that we are going to play is streaming right now on Spotify. Ladies and gentlemen, Ashfault Jungle, who covered an incredible Texas band that you might have heard of called ZZ Top, Blue Jean Blues.
Well, I knew they was mine by the oil and the gasoline.
Ladies and gentlemen, I must say it is an honor to witness the musicianship and skill set of my guest this evening, the one and only Shane Stevens, Ashfault Jungle brother. Yes, 100%. Tell me about that song. Why this song?
Well, I mean, the original version I heard, of course, I was a ZZ Top fan, but I was an Eliminator, not Annihilator fan. It's the '80s. That's what my dad had on the CD player, Alpine. Yeah, Alpine. Remember those pull-out ones?
Oh,
Back then, But so I knew of ZZ Top, I knew of Tush, I knew of Cheap Sunglasses, but I didn't know they did this song. And then, of course, Jeff Healey puts out See the Light album, and I got the cassette because of the song "See the Light" was kind of hard rock and blues, and knowing that he was fellow Canadian, well, not fellow Canadian, I'm not Canadian, but I was living in Canada at the time, and he came from around the Toronto circuit, and so put the cassette tape in, and I'm listening to the whole album, and this song comes on, I'm going, whoa, what is this? So this is my way of going back to showing my appreciation for the blues, for Jeff Healey, Stevie Ray Vaughan, and of course ZZ Top. It was also a kind of a birthday present for my mom, because she's a really huge Jeff Healey fan too. But
right on,
this
man.
is one of those moments where it's lightning in a bottle. I recorded that in a weekend.
Oh, wow, man.
It just boom, 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 boom.
Oh,
It just
yeah.
boom. I couldn't stop. I couldn't put anything down. It's just one of those moments where everything clicked, And again, going back to the cover thing, the one thing I've learned, and this is the one song that really taught me it, and I wish I would have done this on the Aaliyah song. Don't try to be the original guy. Sing it the way you would sing it. If you put these next to Jeff Healey's version and ZZ Top's version, the vocal, arrangement is not the same. It's not, but it sounds. To me, it sounds good. I think it's one of my best cover songs I've done. And again, I just wanted to show off a little bit of my blues. I love blues. B.B. King, John Lee Hooker, you name it, man. I love all that stuff.
We owe a lot of who we are today to those boys, those Delta Blues boys. Absolutely, I agree. Yeah. Well, that's a phenomenal version. I'm so happy that you chose to cover that song. We're getting to a point, ladies and gentlemen, we're probably going to be wrapping up here with my guest, Shane Stevens from Ashfault Jungle. So, my man, any last parting words or messages to your audience, your fans, and please let people know how they could find you around the social media world.
Okay, well, we have the website. It's ashfaultjungle.com. Okay, everything's there, even things that you wouldn't find on Spotify. And of course, Spotify, Tidal. I'm on every streaming outlet, every one of them. Doesn't matter. Best place if you want to, really keep up with me is Facebook. That's the main platform that I really communicate with people on. Do have some collaborations coming up. One of them is this guy.
Oh, right on, man.
Yeah, it's. I don't want to give too much, but it is an original of his. So we just started talking about it the other day. There's another one that we're talking about doing. Well, there's two other ones we're talking about throwing around cover songs, but one of them's a big project where it's going to be a lot of people involved. We just got to get that one off the ground. And I'm already working on another cover tune, another one of those ones where, and I told you this in the email, where I started last Friday night, and next thing you know, it's late Sunday night, and I finished the song. It was just, again, it was like the Blue Jean Blues. It was like I couldn't put it down, and I just boom, 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 and it's done. It's already ready to go. So.
Love it. Exciting. Well, I'm sure we will all know. Please let us know when that next song comes out. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time and your energy. This is episode number 2 of Blast Music 247's Blaster Rock and Metal Podcast. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.